Disgaea 5 is a game I debated whether or not I wanted to subject myself to. My first and last foray into the world of Disgaea was with the initial release on the PlayStation 2, Hour of Darkness. I probably made it about a dozen hours in before I realized just how much of a grind the game would require of me. I told myself I'd revisit the game eventually, but that time never came. Since starting this channel, however, I've been more open to playing games I normally wouldn't. I may not be going back to the first Disgaea as I told myself to, but I can at least make a return to the series in general. Disgaea 5 Alliance of Vengeance is a tactical role-playing game for the PlayStation 4, developed by Nippon Ichi Software and published in the United States and Europe by NIS America. While I'm glad that the number of tactical RPGs for the PlayStation 4 are growing, I find it curious that there is not a PlayStation 3 release also, as the game doesn't appear to be using much in the way of the PlayStation 4's hardware, a shame for those who have yet to purchase the current generation console. As the name of the game suggests, the story revolves around the forming of an alliance with various overlords in the Netherworlds to seek revenge on Void Dark, a demon emperor who has set out to gain control of all the Netherworlds for himself. You'll assume the role of Killia, a wandering demon who unwillingly becomes the leader of the rebels fighting against Void Dark's army, the Lost. While Killia has his own reasons for wanting revenge against Void Dark, he'd rather go about it alone. Killia isn't a particularly interesting character, especially by Disgaea standards. Luckily, the overlords that join him along the way help to provide the personality I had come to expect. The Disgaea series is known to be fairly humorous, and the interactions between these overlords provides a nice contrast to the complex battle and character development systems. Combat is played out as your usual tactical RPG. You take turns with the CPU, moving and attacking with your units across the grid until one side is victorious. In an interesting change from the norm, instead of placing all of your units on the field before battle begins, you'll instead summon them from the base panel. This may not sound like a huge deal at first, but it allows you to leave your less defensive units, such as your healers, out of combat until you need them. You can also return any unit that you've deployed back to the base panel, allowing you to trade places with another unit. As you progress through the game, you'll have recruited so many different styles of characters that having such flexibility in the deployment system is welcome. While it's your turn, you have free access to moving your units around in whichever order that you wish. None of your actions during this phase are permanent, and you can freely redo any of your choices. Once you select Execute, your current actions are then locked in and play out. This doesn't, however, end your turn. Any units that haven't been given orders can still be used, or if you told a unit to attack, but the target died before their turn came around, you can redo their actions. The more units that you have attack in a row will increase their damage as the combo goes longer, rewarding players who can plan their movements efficiently in one turn. Besides your normal attacks, you have special skills and various spells at your disposal. Every skill levels up as you use it, reducing how much SP is spent per use. This might sound like normal attacks would eventually become useless, however, any ally next to a unit who's attacking normally has a chance to join in on a team attack. These attacks have flashy animations and grow in power based on how many allies had joined in. Another system that has been in previous titles is Magichange. Any monster unit can become a weapon that is equipable to the humanoid units. This only lasts for a short amount of time, but grants a stronger weapon and new abilities to the wielder. The main drawback being that the monster unit still counts as a deployed unit, which you have a limited number of. Both units do gain the experience from defeated enemies though. Anyone familiar with Disgaea will know that you can lift and throw units. This has many uses. Most simply, you can throw a unit to get across the map faster. You could also throw a unit across a gap so they don't have to move across a crowded bridge. You can even pick up another unit who has already picked someone else up, creating a sort of tower. This is useful for reaching higher ground that you normally couldn't jump up to. Lifting isn't limited to your own units either. You could throw an enemy unit into the rest of your army to easily defeat them. There are also stage hazards that you can use to your advantage, as well as blocks that you can use to form stairs. Using the stage to your advantage is just as important as the units that you bring. Speaking of using the stage to your advantage, veterans will also be familiar with the geo symbols and panels. Besides the insane character customization that we'll get into in a bit, the geo effects are what I mostly remember Disgaea for. On some maps there will be panels on the ground that are different colors. These do nothing alone, but if a geo symbol is on a panel of the same color, the symbol's properties will be transferred to those panels. You could have a geo symbol with the enemy boost plus 50% property on a blue panel, for example. Any enemy on a blue panel would then receive a 50% bonus to their stats. These geo symbols can be lifted off of the colored panels to turn this effect off, thrown on a different colored panel, or simply destroyed, negating their effect. When destroyed, the geo symbol will convert any panels that are on the same color as it is to whatever color the symbol itself is. In this case, the green symbol would turn all of the blue panels to green when destroyed. Manipulating these geo effects can make battles become easier or more difficult. One of the final systems which is new to the Disgaea series is Revenge Mode. During battle, anytime an ally or enemy unit receives damage or is defeated, the Revenge gauge will begin to fill. Once the gauge fills all the way, Revenge Mode activates. This provides the enraged unit with enhanced stats, and in some cases it will allow access to a powerful skill. Back at your base of operations, there are so many ways to go about improving your characters. There's no way I can cover all of these systems in a reasonable time, but I'll at least go over the basics. You have your usual item, weapon, and armor shops available. They only sell the most basic of equipment at the start, but you can use the item world to level up your gear. Yeah, that's right. Even the most basic items have their own levels and stats that you can grind. You'll do this in the item world. After choosing which item you want to improve, the game will generate multiple floors for you to fight through. The item's current level will dictate how tough the enemies you face inside will be. These stages are more like puzzles than your typical fights. The main goal is to build the bonus gauge by defeating enemies on each floor with as big of a combo as you can in order to improve the items more quickly. The Recruiter is where you'll create additional characters to join your army. The more money that you decide to spend on a character, the stronger that they will potentially be. You can even have their level start at whatever Killia's current level is, so you don't have to grind them from level 1. As a character gains more experience, they'll also improve their class rank, which you can also select the highest ranked class on creation if it's unlocked. If I'm not mistaken, the previous Disgaea games would require you to recruit each class rank as a different character. In Disgaea 5, when a character ranks up in their particular class, they'll simply change to that rank automatically, further reducing any required grinding. There are apparently more than 40 different classes and monster races to recruit. Once your characters have a bit of battle experience, they can then spend any mana that they've earned at the skill shop. Here you can strengthen your special skills and acquire abilities to enhance your character. The most basic skill improvement is to increase its power. Doing this will increase how much SP the skill requires, however, which, as mentioned earlier, you can reduce this cost by using the skill more often. For spells, you also have the ability to widen the range of their effect. This allows you to spend a slight bit more SP to target multiple units. Finally, the abilities are basically passive bonuses that you can purchase based on your character's class. One of the final ways to improve your characters is in the Kara world. Once a character is chosen, you're presented with a board game world. You'll roll dice and progress across the board to gain various character improvements. You have a set number of turns to reach the goal, or all of your bonuses will be reduced upon exit. The rewards at the end are worth going through the Kara world for, but actually playing the board game isn't very engaging. The Dark Assembly is another place that you can spend your character's mana. Here you can unlock all sorts of extras like the cheat shop, grant bonus experience or mana for the next battle, have the item shop carry better items, customize your character's colors or class, and a whole slew of other things. Simply spending the mana is not enough in most cases, however. You'll need to pass a vote from the senators. You have the chance to bribe any who are against what you want, and when you're ready, you'll call a vote and your request will either be approved or rejected. The quest shop can be hit or miss. Many of the quests are simply to kill a specific class of enemy a certain number of times, or to find specific items. The rewards can be good though. You can acquire secret scrolls, which allows you to teach any unit the skill or abilities on them. The more interesting quests have you being challenged by other overlords in battle, where they'll join your cause if you manage to defeat them. This is also where you'll unlock many of the extra monster races and classes. The final few systems I'll mention are the squad system and nether research. The squad system allows you to organize your units into squads, granting various benefits and unlocking more facilities for your base, such as the interrogation room. One squad will allow everyone in it to gain some of the leader's experience in battle. Another may increase the accuracy of everyone in the squad. You'll even be able to level up these squads to improve their bonuses, mostly by capturing prisoners with the capture squad and spending them as a resource. You can also interrogate these prisoners, forcing them to be more cooperative or even joining your force. Finally, the research squad is filled by members that you don't need for battle. They are instead sent to explore other Netherworlds. Once they've successfully researched one, they'll return with items and prisoners, even gaining experience along the way. You'll even be able to challenge the Overlords of the Netherworlds that you explored for additional rewards. While that was probably longer than it needed to be, Disgaea is a complicated game. All of these systems come together to form one of the best tactical RPG series, at least in terms of gameplay. Disgaea has a reputation for being a grindy game, and while that still holds true, especially for the post-game content, there have been many changes over the years to make the game more approachable. One of the major additions is the cheat shop. Now this isn't available to allow you to just breeze through the game. What it offers is a way to adjust a few settings through different trade-offs. If you find you want to grind a bit of experience but you don't need any extra money, you can lower how much money you'll receive and raise how much experience you'll gain instead. This makes grinding way less tedious. You can even make the game harder from this menu if you wish. Disgaea 5 Alliance of Vengeance is a game you could probably play forever, or at least until the next version comes out. There are so many ways to tweak your characters that building the ultimate army will probably appeal to a lot of people. If that's you, I highly recommend giving Disgaea 5 a shot. Even if you're not familiar with the series, the story is self-contained, and the character development systems open up gradually as to not overload the player all at once. Just be prepared to grind a bit from time to time.